Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Farming Simulator 17 on Thornton Farm, where today we're grabbing the plough. It's big John Deere plough here. And we're going to head over to field, I think it was 15 I wanted to do. I need to move the, I can't do field 15 actually. I'm going to go do field, is it 12 has had the crops in? Yeah, fields 4 and 12 instead. Just realised that there's still bales in field 15. So we're going to do fields 4 and 12 hopefully today with this plough. It is still early autumn, so in reality you maybe wouldn't want to be ploughing this early, but instead of having 2 beet harvesting videos in a row, let's do a bit of ploughing today. Field 4 definitely needs a plough. Let's have a look at the soil composition. Yeah, field 4 definitely needs ploughing. Field 12 is good, but I'll plough it anyway. Field 7, the harvest is not finished there, so we won't bother with that today. So let's get the Kirovets into the field. Missed the entrance because I couldn't see it. And let's get the plough unfolded. Yes, I am using a piece of John Deere equipment. Be amazed. And down. And we can start ploughing. I think this the Kirovets looks about right on the front of this plough, to be quite honest. It's a big piece of equipment, big tractor, makes a bit of sense at least. The Kirovets is almost nothing but torque. This thing was used by the Russians back when it was the Soviet Union to pull missiles, nuclear missiles in particular. So having this pulling a plough should, in theory, make sense. Let's turn on the diff locks and see if that changes anything. Nope, won't change a thing. So we won't be able to plough at a high speed, but we'll be able to plough. I think this is 6 meters wide. We're able to plough a decent sized swath of the field at any given time. Plus, because this is articulated, I can actually turn a bit tighter than I would with a normal tractor, which is always good. 6 in the evening and I'm just heading out with the plough. That makes sense. So let's head down the hill again. Yeah, the hill's causing a bit of an issue, I've just noticed. There is a 2 km/h difference between being on or going up the hill and going down the hill, but that shouldn't make too much of an actual difference. Oh, 3 kilometers there. Maybe there's a bit of a difference. It shouldn't make that big of a difference, in theory, in the amount of time it's going to take us to plough this field. Field 12 I could, in theory, just cultivate, which I might do, because you can do 3 crops in between ploughing. So I might just cultivate field 12, but this field definitely needs ploughing just to make sure that if I do get another crop out of this field, it will be fully ready to go. Just make sure that I don't hit the gates there. We will try and get another pass done here. If I can line the Kirovets up nicely. I do like the engine sound out of this. It sounds like it's got an old engine. There's a bit of a kind of almost a metallic sound out of the engine. There we go. That should be good. That is good. Just pass up here now. And it's actually 10 minutes to 7 for me in real life, which means I'm recording maybe a bit later than I should. I usually have dinner in about 10 minutes time, so there might be there might be a jump cut in the video. And it is still Monday for me. Is it Monday? It is Monday. It's a bank holiday, so time is a bit wonky for me at the moment. I'm yet to decide on whether or not to get rid of... Oh, there's rain due. That could make this fun. Whether or not to get rid of Car Mechanic. There was a video yesterday, should have been, but I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do moving forwards. That really sucks because I'm enjoying Car Mechanic. I think it's a good game if you work around the issues that still exist, and work around the fact that the devs said some really dumb stuff that they shouldn't have, and, you know, released the game probably a month too early. But it's a good game. It is fun. Yeah, there is a game that I'd like to show off that I don't know how it's going to be received, but I'm going to try it anyway and see what people think. So I can do that on Friday if views on Car Mechanic haven't picked up by then, because it is a bank holiday here in Ireland, and I believe in Canada, parts of Canada as well. So I'll make a decision then on what to do. I do have a game that I can play, so it's not the end of the world. It's going to be interesting because it's a very different kind of game. In fact, I got potentially 2 games that I need to play the other one a bit more, just to make sure that it fits the channel reasonably well. So that's going to be a fun little experiment, playing that through a little bit just to see how it fits the channel and how it plays. Which, yes, this is stuff that sometimes I will play games just to see how they'd fit the channel. So sometimes you'll see me in Discord in a game you'd never heard of, potentially, and that's literally just I'm seeing if it'll fit the channel because I might want to give it some exposure. Granted, you know, I don't have the biggest audience in the world. My channel is still hilariously tiny, with only 5,000, nearly 6,000 subscribers. But it's bigger than my town, so YouTube is a weird place where the biggest channels have more subscribers than actual countries have people. There we go. YouTube is a very weird place where kind of each individual person loses their own meaning. But we got, what, 15 grand left in cash monies. I think I might have a loan out still. Hang on, let me check. Is there still a loan out on this map? There, oh. Oh. Oh dear. There is a quite significant loan out of £250,000. That's not good, is it? I might have to start selling tractors and stuff. Yeah, that's not good at all. However, there is an upside to all this, and it is that we are heading into winter. Winter is a bit of an odd time because it means the bales are at their highest prices. So I might forgo doing the animal. Actually, I've just remembered we've got sheep on this map. How are the sheep doing? The sheep are doing okay. There's no wool produced, which is a bit odd, but I'm hoping that's just a weird thing, that the game's being wonky. But yeah, I think we're doing okay for everything right now. I think maybe getting pigs might be an idea. Coming into winter, there'll be high production. I think it might be worthwhile getting a few pigs just to try and get some money together. Or even some cows, because we don't have any silage actually, whoops. We got some stuff that'll tide them over. So it wouldn't be the end of the world if we did get some cows, and we're doing actually quite well on this field. We might just get it fully done today. I was kind of expecting this ploughing to be a bit faster than it is. But as I said before, and I've said it a few times now, the plan is we're staying on Thornton for probably another couple of weeks, and then we're going to move over to the west coast by Will Bill once that comes out. Obviously I can't play it before it comes out. I didn't get early access, but Bill didn't think I was worthy of it or whatever. And you know what, I'm glad that Landy and Sim got early access. It's great for them, so I'm not going to complain too much. When I see the West Coast, go over to Landy Kid's channel. He's got a first look up, as does Simulate. You get two different perspectives on the map as well. Daggerwin's got one up. I prefer if you watch Landy and Sim's videos, but you can watch Daggerwin's too. And Eustace Farmer if you want to take the American look at it. A dumb American having a look around it, seeing his thoughts, perhaps. I haven't watched his, but I haven't watched any of the videos on it actually. I'm keeping myself intentionally blind. I know what the PDA is like. I've seen some screenshots from Landy and Sim, and that's about it. As for my own map, which I'm more willing to talk about now than I was in the past, because it's starting to come to life. Those of you that didn't know before, I am making a map. How did you somehow miss the fact that I've been doing streams on it? Well, streams of making it. It's coming to life now. I've done some test areas of foliage. If you're in the Discord, you'll have seen a couple of pictures of me screwing about with foliage and taking some screenshots within GE, I should say. I've barely had the map in-game. There was one in-game image that I put out from when I was testing the forest FPS, and discovered that was incredibly low. So I nixed that idea and changed some plans. But it's barely been in-game at all. I do have a folder set up with Donetsk, with an old-ish whip version of Donetsk. I'll actually be getting a newer whip version and just testing that and double-checking the FPS is good. Once I got all the roadside trees and between field trees in, and then I'll probably put in a few trees just for 100% for decoration. But it is coming together nicely now. It is definitely looking more like a map and less like a blank canvas. Now that the trees are going in, it's kind of getting a bit of personality. I'm feeling out the way the map is going to look a bit better. Getting the yards done will be done after the trees, most likely, and then comes the fun bit of field definitions. That's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna try and have missions on as many fields as possible, but I can't guarantee I can't guarantee anything, because I know how field definitions are and I know that they're not fun. For those of you that don't know, I use spline placement script to put in trees and stuff. It gives it a nice natural look and saves a buttload of time. I'm just gonna turn the lights on the Kirovets. If you are thinking about making a map, definitely have a look at the spline placement script. I've recommended it to Silver. I think Lancey Boy's shown some interest in it because he's just seen how quickly that you can put trees in, and how easy it is to get a nice natural look with some tweaks. I don't think Dusty Dave, Oxen and David will be using it anytime soon. They are lunatics who insist on placing everything in the map by hand, which I can only applaud them for it, because I don't have that patience. They've got speed and experience on their side. I've got scripts that I can use, which makes things a lot easier, I think. Makes it definitely faster. It's sped me up to no end, because I'm a perfectionist and I like having kind of a certain look, and the way that the trees are going in with spline placement, I only have to move one or two at a time, usually, and it'll come nicely. Also, in one of the streams, it was actually a Sunday stream, there was a little discussion that I had in the middle of the stream about ploughing with somebody from the US, and they said they didn't like the way the dad was saying, "Oh, ploughing helps the fields out so much," because it wasn't true. And I said, "No, it is for the UK and Ireland, especially in certain areas of the UK and Ireland, and certain areas of the US even. It all depends on the soil type. So the UK and Ireland tend to have because of the amount of rain we get." One seamless transition later, I've had my dinner and I've had a cup of tea. I knew that recording when I started it was a bad idea. I believe when I was not rudely but pleasantly interrupted for dinner, I was talking about soil types, because I'm going to be that boring guy who talks about science, and why exactly it's more beneficial to plough in the UK and Ireland than it is to plough in, we'll say, the US. Also, the wheel plugged itself out at some point. I've left the game running, but paused, so I'm now using my keyboard. So you'll have to deal with some stickiness. I do apologise for that. But in the UK and Ireland, because it rains so much, the soil tends to be a bit more clay-like. Definitely in certain parts. I know there's parts of Ireland that have a very rocky soil, and parts of the UK that also have rocky soils, and that does kind of bear into it, because again, the amount of rainfall does have an effect. But by and large, the UK and Ireland have kind of acidic clay-style soils, clay-like soils, whereas in the US, most of the US, not all of it, but most of it has very sandy soils, especially the big farming region, kind of Texas. The south is very sandy soils, so ploughing isn't as useful there. And that's why you'll see farmers doing no-till, because they can get away with it. Compaction as well, because there's not as much rain. You know, Ireland, the UK is famous. Country's famous for rain, and sometimes you end up having to work the fields when it's been raining recently, because you don't have a choice. So you pretty much have to plough once a year or so, just to make sure that I've made a hames of this, haven't I? Just to make sure that the compaction doesn't get too bad. And that's not as much of a problem in the US. In fact, I can give a very specific example of somebody, for whatever reason, doing work when they probably shouldn't have. And I'm not entirely sure why they did it. A few years ago, I was working in a science lab and I had to walk out in the countryside to get there. Walk to work every day. And it was during a bit of a particularly wet period, and the rivers had flooded a bit, and there was a guy who had a field of grass for silage right beside the river. Now, I found out after the fact this guy had a bit of a reputation of being a bit silly. Sillier than even me, because what he did was truly, truly insane. I'll get to that in a minute. But there was a period where it was drying off and drying off and drying off. And this was during, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when there were floods everywhere. And it was quite bad. And you know, it was getting into silage season. Everybody was raring to go. All the farmers were raring to go. And trying to get the silage started as quickly and as early as possible to maybe get 3 cuts as they do every year. And this guy, you know, his field was just a bog. It was a marsh. It would have taken a few months for it to drain off, or at least a couple of weeks of solid sunshine. So him and his infinite wisdom decided to go out. I didn't see this happening, but I'd love to have seen it happening. I saw the aftermath. He went out into his bog field and cut silage. This was over a weekend. I wasn't there. I came back on a Monday, and as I was walking past the field, I looked in and I just looked and I saw divots and huge gashes in the soil, and I thought to myself, this idiot has decided that instead of waiting for 2 or 3 weeks to maybe get the soil somewhat dry to get his silage started, that, you know, instead of being patient and smart and not destroying his field, he would come in as soon as the field had, you know, the water level had gone outside of his field. He'd come in with heavy equipment, because it looked like it was cut with a forage harvester as well, and run that through his field not long after a flood. The chunks gone out of the grass and out of the ground were insane. They were about 6 inches deep and a few meters long, and I had no sympathy for him because it's a stupid idea. I know I do stupid stuff in farm sim, but there's a difference between doing stupid stuff in farm sim where there's no penalty for the rest of the year or even 2 or 3 years down the line, and doing stupid stuff in real life where you're going to be losing quite a lot of money quite quickly. And this guy was doing stupid stuff in real life. He won stupid prizes because his field was ruined. And I don't know if he got a second cut out that year. I wasn't there long enough to find out. But he had completely and utterly destroyed his field because it was just a mud pit. You know, any equipment in there would have just, and it did, it just kind of sank into the ground and bit in, dug in, and just ate the ground up on it. When, you know, he could have waited a few weeks and got a decent first cut and maybe got lucky and got a second cut out. But he figured, I need my silage cut now, so I'm going to get it done now. And, you know, the rest of the year we're damned, I need my silage cut. Bad idea. There were also farmers where the lab where I was working, there was like grass tests to see how much sugar and all that stuff was in the soil, and you know, this is a bit of a story time video, I know. You'll have to bear with me because ploughing lends itself to story time, I find. And you know, farmers would send in grass samples, just bags of grass, and they get tested for nutrients and whatever to find out how close they were to being ready for silage, and the guy doing it give a rough estimate of how many days or weeks or hours until the grass was ready to be cut and, you know, cut into silage. One guy, he was told, okay, your silage, you know, your grass will be good for silage in 3 days, and the answer they got back from him was, well, what if I've already cut it? Well, if you already cut it, it's not going to be as good as it could be. Right. What if I leave it for 3 days then? Do you mean cut or uncut? Oh, cut. And then it'll... no. Like some people sent in samples and it thought that immediately meant the silage was ready to go instead of waiting for the results. And it was kind of funny. I'm not belittling farmers, I actually have nothing but respect for farmers, but some of the some of the mentalities I experienced there were quite entertaining, to say the least. People who, how do I put this in a nice way? Maybe didn't grasp the magnitude of some results that we were giving them, or didn't grasp that things had to be done in a very certain way, because we needed to get reliable results and get it done in a very specific way. We got samples sent in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways. And usually we could, 9 times out of 10 we could, get the samples so that we could use it. But there was that 1 out of 10 where it was mutilated so badly that we couldn't figure out what on earth it was supposed to be. Now, could you, it just... We tried to test whatever we got in as much as possible. There were different times that we just couldn't test the sample, and we had to ring up the farmer and tell him, okay, look, you gotta order another kit, and we won't count this sample as ever having existed. And we'll get things sorted out for you. But you'll need to order another kit to take the sample again. You'll need to send it to us again. And here's how exactly it should be when you send it to us, just so we don't run into the same problem. Some of the reactions were quite different. One person, I didn't speak to him myself, but one of my colleagues did, refused to turn off the tractor. Apparently he was ploughing or something, and all my colleague could hear was the tractor in the background. Some of them, very nice people, all of them. They're quite angry, and we had to point out that it's in your best interest, because it was mandatory at the time to get these tests done. It is nice the way as possible. We kind of pointed out to them what would happen if they didn't get the tests done, which was usually, hey, you know what, you don't have to get these tests done, but if you don't, the Department of Agriculture will probably want to know why you didn't get these tests done, and feeling like you've been ripped off by one of the cheaper labs to do it, maybe, just maybe, just perhaps maybe, very, very thin chance of this happening, maybe that's not a good idea. That's probably a bad thing to be saying to them. Because if they decide you're non-compliant, you lose your grants. And honestly, I should say the test that I was involved with was bovine viral diarrhea, which was actually an animal welfare check to make sure all of the cattle on the farm were healthy and to make sure the herd was healthy. So the farmers being non-compliant with that would lead to further questions from the Department of Agriculture and probably lead to surprise inspections. Probably lead to further things coming down the road. So it was in everybody's best interest to be compliant in every way, shape and form. And for those of you that don't know, those of you that maybe aren't in the cattle business, or even those of you that are and have no idea what I just said, bovine viral diarrhea, BVD, it is a virus, as the name would suggest, that's uncurable, unfortunately, and in older cows does nothing. Older cattle, it does nothing at all. There's no damage to them, except maybe they'll have a bit of diarrhea. But in calves, and this is what we were specifically testing, calves, it has a bit of an effect in that they'll literally crap themselves to death. It kills them sooner or later, and if there's a positive calf, it was basically, your calf is going to be going, you have to destroy it, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be a loss for your year, but having that one calf gone and getting the mother tested and making sure that the mother is negative and doesn't carry the disease, means that 2-3 years down the line, you won't have this problem. You know, you'll have a herd of healthy cattle, you'll have no dead loss, or minimized dead loss from BVD, you'll have a certificate probably to say you're compliant with BVD testing regulations and 100% BVD free, and you'll probably be making more money as a result. So, tests like that, and sometimes I saw people complaining that, oh, the department just wants to, ruin farmers. No, that... Some of the stuff that the Department of Agriculture, in the Ireland at least, and probably the UK, and probably the US, and probably everywhere else, their aim is to get as much money into farming as possible. And sometimes the regulations will mean the farmers have to spend a bit of money, yeah, but do you know what? Their aim is to get farmers being profitable, so cynic as it is, they can make taxes. They can make taxes off the profits. They can take money, skim a bit off the top from the profits and the amount of extra money going into the economy. So why would they want to destroy farmers? Their aim is the exact same as every farmer, is to maximize profits, and maximizing profits for the Department of Agriculture especially is... And I know this is a political talk, but I'm talking facts here, so I don't mind doing it. Maximizing profits means the farmers succeed. And if farmers succeed, farmers are happy. If farmers succeed, the government's happy because they're making money out of agriculture. If farmers succeed, the economy is doing well. And it all comes down the line, there's no shortages in shops and prices are good. Although the milk price apparently is a bit of an issue at the moment, especially in the UK. I believe Ireland as well, but that's down to monopolies and businesses being douchebags. So do support your local farmers, those of you who are not farmers, and those of you who are. I respect your craft. If I didn't, I wouldn't play Farm Sim. But this planning's been going well. I've not really been talking about the game, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I think I'm going to leave it here. I don't know how long this video is. It's unfortunately been split into 2 parts by time requirements. Yeah, I'm going to leave it here. I hope you enjoy. I'll leave you by saying I've been RainbowDave. You've been watching Farming Simulator 17 on Thornton Farm. Until next time, stay safe and goodbye.